Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Chapalang Film Podcast. I'm your host, Peipei. We also have co-host and film director Jonathan Chu. Our guest today is Yee Wei. He is the founder of post-production house Mocha Chai Labs, as well as the director of such films as Blood Ties, Twisted, That Girl in Pinafore, and his most recent film Wonderland, starring Mark Lee and Peter Yu, which won the local jury award at the recent Palm Springs International Film Festival. Congrats and welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Yee Wei.
Thank you. Okay. Wow, I think before this we all had a few false starts.
Yeah.
And then we had fried rice in between.
Audience don't need to know.
but I think it sort of got us to a state where we are a lot more like relaxed, warmed up, and ready to, in a way, it got our mindset ready to, okay, what are we going to cover to talk about? So the agenda for today, somewhat, at least we know what to expect from now. It's going to be relaxed and chit-chat basically.
Chapalang.
Yes.
Chapalang.
Yeah, like our setup here, very Chapalang.
Yeah. This is the first time we are actually kind of doing it in external location. We usually do it via online. So it feels a little bit more free right now.
Yeah.
More casual.
Okay, cool. And I'm grateful that they are able to come here. This is my this is Mocha Chai Laboratories, a post-production house that or actually now more like a production house because we also do everything already. We're at Tai Seng area. Thanks for coming all the way down here.
No problem. I live very near here.
And it's rainy. It's a rainy day. Very chilly weather. And now it's 8 p.m.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. already.
We arrived at 8 p.m.
Oh yeah, wow. Okay, so we shall start chit-chatting now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to kick off, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know you were born into a business family, but you always wanted to make films.
Yes.
Yeah, and you always wanted to be both a businessman, but then also make films.
I wasn't. How about this? I wasn't sure what the hell I really wanted to be. I mean, at different points in time, I wanted to be doing different things. But one thing that's for sure, all the way until at least I was 30 years old, I didn't think I was gonna be able to even find a career in media. Because I mean, maybe it's the environment that Singapore. I mean, we grew up, the kind of, or at least in my mind, back then the opportunities open to me were engineering, business, or computer. I'm a big nerd. I love computer until I took a class of C++ and I said, damn it, I'm not gonna do that for the rest of my life. And ironically, until you get into it, I'm like, damn, I don't want to do. But I spent a lot of time doing a lot of computer networking. A lot of my in secondary school, I was doing a lot of house calls and actually making pocket money for fixing people's Windows problems, DOS problems, viruses. That helped me. Made a lot of pocket money.
Is that why you only buy Apple now?
Actually, no. You see, I didn't get into Macs possibly. Where you where you want things to get to be done, right? And I think maybe because part of me have always been fascinated by the idea of art and science crossing its path, and Macintoshes technically, I mean Apple machine seems to have that very nice blend, right, of art and design combined with science, technology. I only got my Mac when I went to college, university, in 1997. And why I know precisely that, and the reason is for the weirdest reasons. I need to stop playing games. All the games were on PC. I mean, even up to today. And then I'm like, there's only one way for me to stop playing games. Let's get a Mac, right? Turn out I got myself into another deep hole because the Mac got me into an arena that I think maybe in a way started me exploring things that's media related as part of my hobby. I'm an avid photographer. I was into taking back then was 35mm. I was into the Minolta system. I was Dynex 7000. I guess never heard of cameras like that. I was using film, and I was into like all the different film stocks. So I have my own preferred ones. I love my Ekta 25 for those who know. And then when things started to move into digital, I myself was very fascinated with software, particularly editing tools. And Final Cut 1.0 came out, and I was like, oh, what better time to learn when a new software is introduced? Like you learn and grow with it. So I actually started off all from the tech and wanting to learn about these tools, software. And I was volunteering to edit for in school, in college, all the like the Hong Kong Students Association or their graduation video, their parties and everything. And I was helping to edit. So in a way, unknowingly I've been building all these skill set. For me, it was for fun, but not realizing that it's actually paving way for maybe more than a decade later, getting myself into the industry.
Were you a film lover back then? Like while you were doing all this, dabbling into computers and all that?
Yes, but in a very particular field. It's very weird because growing up, my parents worked very hard. So they often left me at home after school, and my mom works in industry where we have deals with a lot of tourists, and there is like tour bus bringing them to like souvenir shops, antique shops, and then they will pay the tour guides per head, and they come in. They'll be it's very traditional. And we going to some countries these days, we also get suckered into certain shops. So this was back in the 80s, and then I have to share this part of the story. It's very weird because one of my mom's tour guide friends always buys videotapes from JB. So every week I will have 2 new tapes to watch. But my mom and my dad, they're not very discerning. They don't speak English very much. All the films that she buys are all B-grade horror films.
And that's in the 80s.
Yes, so I grew up and my staple were like Hellraiser. And I'm talking about, I'm in my primary, secondary school and I'm watching Hellraiser. Evil Dead. Evil Dead was banned, by the way. Okay? And all the unnameable, okay?
Cannibal Holocaust.
Cannibal Holocaust. So from the age I've been watching boobs and people getting Halloween, I grew up on these staples. So my earliest influences in films are in horror films, and maybe that sort of propelled my early films. I get my early films were very much influenced by those films that I grew up watching. But as I grew older and then got into college and all these things, yes, I love watching films, but again, it has never crossed my mind that I could be one of those making films. It's just like one of the most it was in probably late 90s or late 90s, 1999 or around then. There was a Singapore film that was released and available at Blockbuster. Video rental shop. I was in Michigan, and I would call all my Singapore friends. Hey, got Singapore film. Oh, I go and rent. We all come and watch. The film was called That's the Way I Like It.
That's Forever Fever.
That's Forever Fever, released by Miramax. How proud you are as a Singaporean in Michigan, Midwest, in the middle of nowhere in United States, with a bunch of Singaporean and Malaysian friends sitting down watching a movie about Singapore with people speaking in Singapore accents. How there's that kind of you feel. I can imagine the power of films bringing people together. And often as I pursue my journey in filmmaking,
Mm.
often you hope to be one of those that you make a film and you can have the similar impact
Yeah.
for people living overseas, watching your
Mm.
film and say, hey, this film brought me home, you know.
So
Right.
when did you realize you want to be a filmmaker? How old were you?
It's very funny because I think it wasn't until my third feature, Girl in Pinafore, that I dare to use the term filmmaker on
Oh,
myself.
wow.
Because I guess it's a Singaporean mindset where you feel like you need to go to school in order to be certified for something. I felt I've always been an imposter, right? I'm like, suddenly, like out of the blue, one of my short film got picked up by Oak Tree and said, let's turn it into a feature film. And when I did my feature film, everyone was like, what the fuck is this dude? Man, where did he come from, right? Whereas back then there were already the like people from drunk people like Rick Au even to me they were my seniors. They were way before me, you know what I mean? They started way before, and yet I had a chance to do a feature film. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'll be honest. Meaning, I knew what kind of film I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure if I was doing it the right way. I was just
Right.
following my gut. I'm like, I know what I want, but I wasn't sure if the way I go about doing it is the right way to do it. And looking back, I was very grateful for Oak Tree for giving me that opportunity to do my first film by surrounding me with very experienced people, and these people really helped to grow my accelerate my learning. I'm a filmmaker who learn by doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what happened is you said you made a short film,
Blood Ties.
Blood Ties, which was, do you want to kind of speak to the audience in what circumstances did you come to make this short film?
It was a local competition
Right.
organized by Panasonic. At that time, it was the advent of digital video.
Which year was it?
Again, I can only roughly remember. It could be 2003.
Right.
Okay.
I think 2003,
So
2004.
it's used tape, lah. Is it used tape?
It was using tape for digital video 24p. But for Blood Ties, that was already like my third or fourth short film already, and that one was shot on P2 cards. HVX 200.
Right.
I don't know why you remember this kind of nonsense information and then you cannot study well. no?
Panasonic P2 lah.
P2 cards. That one was recorded to HD, 1080i or 720p.
Right.
So we will, those who submit script will say, oh, if you're selected, you'll be sponsored equipment package. Don't shoot lah. So I did that short film, and I remember the DOP I used was Derek Liu. I don't know if you guys heard of this DOP.
Yep.
He was also much more experienced than I have at that point in time. For me, it was I'm learning as I'm learning the ropes lah, you know. And interestingly, he didn't go to film school as well. He was econs major in US. And then there was also an art director. I used this lady called Zoe Chu. I think she left the industry already, from what I know. But I remember telling them, I said, hey, I'm gonna do this short film. This is the concept for it. This is the short film I wrote is a self-contained. So if you don't know, it just feels like it's a self-contained short film, with a start and the end. But in that short film I introduced, it's sort of disguised as a pitch for a feature film. And when I did that short film, I told them, I said, hey, if I successfully could have a chance to make a film one day, I'll make sure that you guys are the DP. And I said, whatever. And eventually, at Digital Film Festa, it won second prize, I think. And one of the jurors was Jason from Oak Tree. And he saw it, he said, hey, let's turn it into a feature film. So we spent the next 2 years developing the script, and then they announced the first feature film fund. So we used the short film plus the script and got the grant, and that's how the first my Blood Ties was shot in 2008.
And 2008 is the first time SFC had the
Had
first feature film
fund.
grant, right?
Yeah. So I think that being in the first batch, I think Wee Lin was in it. Was Ilo in the first batch or the second batch? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
I think it's around there also.
Right.
You know, so yeah, we were all in a way beneficiaries from that grant.
Yep.
I think they still have it today.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was an investment, right? Not
It
really
was
a
an
grant.
investment,
Yeah.
yes. Whereas now it's a pure grant,
Yeah.
which is much better lah, in a way lah. However, still, you know, having $250,000 back then
Yeah.
is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and granted, shot on digital. So that film, when we eventually get to shoot it, was the first feature film it could be in the world
Mm-hmm.
shot on a Red 1
Mm.
and output to film.
Oh, so Blood Ties, when it was released theatrically, it's output
It was
to.
on film.
Oh wow,
Because it didn't have DCP yet. It was
okay.
not yet.
nice.
Yeah, even my second film was not DCP yet. So the post was done in Thailand, Technicolor.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a pre-grade, pre-post in Singapore
Mm.
and edit in Singapore. Then we go there for a week to 10 days to do final finishing
Right.
for sound and for picture.
Mm.
In a way, that's how Mocha Chai was born as well. So the idea is to have people do their whatever they want, then come in for
Yeah.
short film, maybe 2 days can already lah. No,
Yeah.
do the finishing post and output to the highest format.
Yeah.
Yellow Cocoon was done that way, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Mocha Chai should sponsor this episode.
You do the other episodes.
Okay, so the King of Fried Rice is on me later. So yeah, it's sorry, did that sound like a sales talk?
No.
But what I felt was important was understanding why it's important to do finishing posts when I was in Thailand.
Mm.
That taught me the importance of certain things. There are fundamentals that I cannot change. My first film, there are things that I learned that there are lessons. In every film that I do, there are lessons where I learn not just on technical but also on the directing
Yeah.
aspect there. I'm like, oh, it's a lesson learned. I need to,
Right.
work on my second or third one or fourth one, ensuring that it builds on top of it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
box office wise, how did Blood Ties do? Did you
It was
return
200 over thousand.
SFC the money? You managed to return?
If you purely look at that, let me think. Okay, why? Because it's a little tricky to ask that question. Is because I wasn't the one handling money.
Mm.
Right.
Oak Tree was the producer.
Mm.
But looking at the sales, it was sold to it was Singapore box office 200 over thousand. And then it was sold to distribution workshop, and then it was released in Malaysia, Taiwan, and Hong Kong.
Mm.
Mm.
And through all these sales, there were also other auxiliary sales and
Yeah.
all these things. So I don't know how much all those were. So it was all handled by Oak
Oak
Tree
Tree.
to have paid for to
I
them.
see.
Right.
And in the end, I still get some money back. So I assume maybe we did
Okay.
because the film was done on a 460 over thousand
Right.
budget.
So
Okay.
you, as the director, do you just get like a director's fee, or you were getting residues from it?
That film I didn't get anything. The leftover money was because they were wrapping things up and say, oh, the deal with the Hong Kong side has ended after 15 years or 20 years. Now it's been how many years already? Shit.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, so they were wrapping it up already. I think it's 15 years.
I
From
see.
what I recall. And then the rights came back. So my mind right now is like, what should I do with it? Should I put it on iTunes for people to buy and rent and things like that? So these are all the options I can do.
Yeah.
And it was shot on Red 1.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the Red Raws. Should I do a HDR? I don't know. No. So these are all the options that I can do with it since I own the rights to it. Because back then,
nice.
yeah. So that was how I got into the film industry. And I was still a wedding videographer then.
Mm.
Okay.
Then all the way into my second film, I was still doing wedding videography.
Mm.
And
Because
how old were you? Right.
2011 was my second film.
Right. Twisted.
Twisted.
Right.
It's only from Twisted onwards I started Mocha Chai.
Okay.
Yeah. So I shot wedding for more than 10 years.
Can you share more about how Oak Tree managed to get some, great Hong Kong talents on
Yes.
Blood Ties?
We were very lucky lah. So
Like at the time, like
Zheng
what was
Peipei.
Oak Tree like?
Yeah.
Were they like pretty established already?
they were very
Like,
established.
How
They're
many
probably
feature
one of
films
the
have they produced at the time?
okay, local only one.
Which
Road
is
Less
the
Travel.
Road Less Travel, yeah.
Then they co-produce a few like German or co-production, and they have a few co-productions. But I'm not the best person to ask for this. But at that point, they were already one of the better established ones
Right.
in locally, and so when they offered to produce mine, of course I was so happy, right? So grateful. And she has worked with Zheng Peipei before. So immediately on the script level, there's a mother that said, let's call Zheng Peipei in. Okay, I'm like,
I
oh,
see.
okay. Lor.
Okay.
Then
They worked
The other-
together on this telemovie called House of Harmony.
oh,
Before that, yeah. So
yes.
They had
Ah,
these ties.
And then there's also the how Zhang Gong came about.
Mm.
Kenneth Tsang was Zhang Gong knows Zheng Peipei, so Zheng Peipei asked Zhang Gong,
Oh wow.
are you keen? Then we call, are you keen? Okay, he's in. Oh,
Wow.
but actually, the biggest, I say the person who influenced me the most on that set is actually my AD, Johnny Kong. He's the AD.
For
for
Wong Kar-wai.
Right.
That guy instilled in me discipline in filmmaking. He is probably my first, in terms of directing,
Yeah.
a very important teacher in my life. Lah.
Mm.
But of course, he's not the only one. But
Yeah.
he is one of the most
Right.
influential to me.
Mm.
And another one I need to shout out because I feel I did not thank her enough.
Mm.
In all my every time I say thanks, I never mention her, and I feel really bad. Are you familiar with this person called Judith Weston?
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So
Of
she's
course.
You know her?
She's my teacher. I went to her Starlight
Oh.
studio to.
Wow,
I
her
teach
book-
directing, right? and her book directing actors, right?
It's the Bible.
It's a must for you to read through before you teach. Yeah.
So, maybe
Wow.
I should share a photo of us.
Judith Weston is so
She's a
important
legend. She's a
to
legend, yeah.
So, so
Hollywood.
you guys know her, great.
Yeah.
She, when I took her class, I thought it was gonna be a directing class. No, it was an acting class.
So for the benefit of listeners
Yeah.
who don't know Judith Weston, right?
Yeah.
Can you just roughly like introduce her?
So she is, I would say she is a acting director's coach,
Guru.
who has written one of the most influential
Yeah,
books, textbooks, in
Yes.
fact, used by many schools in teaching
directing.
directing for actors,
Yep.
and how to tap into intuition
Mm.
of both of creatives
Yeah.
to elicit performance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, is there a technique, whatever? There isn't really a tech. There's the method or whatever. No. The angle of her directing is basically to find truthfulness in performance. That's all.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and how do you elicit that?
Yeah.
Do you have to cheat to get it? How do you find rehearsal techniques with actors to
Yeah.
get to elicit performances from them? How less is more?
Mm.
How from textbook I couldn't understand until I went for a class one was the use of adjectives.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
very-
isn't it action verb?
Action verb. Yeah.
Not adjective, right?
Adjectives is like it is something more to do with like the analogies.
Okay.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, using action words. Sorry,
Action
verbs.
words, right?
Using
Yeah,
verbs.
action
verbs.
Using verbs.
Yeah.
Okay, and it didn't quite. I didn't quite understand what that meant until I went for the class. And I was like, okay. And until you practice it, and until you try to be an actor,
Mm.
then you could understand. Oh, what are the instructions that actually make sense to them, as opposed to can you smile more?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by
Like
more?
basically not results oriented directing, right? More
Yeah.
action.
It's more how okay there's a large part that also probably in the book is hard to. From that book is a little hard. It's more from the director's intuition. The second book, or is it the actor's intuition? I don't.
I think there's the director's intuition and there is directing actors.
So directing actor is the first one.
Yeah.
So the intuition one goes a little bit more about that, where it's really much more about reading people, and how you cannot use the same set of instructions for the different actors.
Yeah.
You really need to look at, okay, how does this actor operate, and you tailor your communications with them to get there. And after many years, I don't want to say that it's you go to a class and bing, it made sense. Even after that, several films later, I still consulted her and talk about rehearsals, and I did a short film called Sisters. And then after that, I still talked to her about, asking her about this one situation that I encountered for Sister, which from the short film. Did you watch the short film?
Yeah, long ago.
Yeah. That short film, and I encountered a situation I've never encountered before, which was an actress who was very good. I don't want to name which one. She came, she was very confident, and she really came across, really performed really well. 3 days of shoot, but on the last day she couldn't deliver. And she would be the last person. I thought, I was so confident that it's gonna be a breeze, but it just didn't work. And something that snapped on me, I was like, is there such a thing as over preparation?
Yeah.
And I did ask her this question. What do you think the answer would be?
Yes.
Yeah.
She said no.
There's no such thing as over prep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say no. And from there, I dug even deeper. And I'm still investigating. Where is that middle way? if there's such a thing, But in the end, I think for her case it wasn't about a situation of over prepare. She was just too nervous. She was just too nervous, and she scared herself ownself.
Okay.
She stressed herself out.
Okay.
So it's more about stress than anything else.
Under what circumstance did you attend her workshop? Was it before Blood Ties or
It was before Blood Ties.
Before Blood Ties.
It was before Blood Ties. It was before Blood Ties. And when you really don't have I kind of miss the days I was in the early days of being a filmmaker. You don't really know what you're doing, or in the sense that you're not so much like, I'm planning to this, planning for that, I'm aiming for. You just want to do film and you just want to enjoy it. I saw this class, I read her book, and I'm like, then I realized, she got a class. So I wrote to her, class is always full. And then I said, okay, then I set a date for 6 months before. And then eventually the 6 months came, and still got the slot. I flew to LA and then spent 3 weeks there. It's just, it's as simple as that.
In a way, doing that is better than going to film school.
Yeah. So to all the listeners out there, if you want to be a director, right, you just have to read Judith Weston's Directing Actors, and you are.
Or go for an acting class. Yang Yan Yan, you started acting.
Yes.
I think she's tried to do some acting coach and teaching things. I think actors should try to learn some acting. And for real, directors should learn some acting. Because once you understand what are the, I don't, to use the word tools that they use, it's a little technical, but like, how do you talk to actors on here? How do you communicate with them?
Or even simply like, how do actors feel when they move around the space? If you know how that feels, it is.
Then and there are some very technical directors and there are some very more intuitive based. And in the end, which is the right way? I'll say no. It's a mix of everything. Then there's also like this day and age. I also met directors who refuse to say, it's the DOP's job. But I say no. The DOP doesn't know how you want to tell your story.
Yeah.
You can frame it any way you want, but does that help tell your story?
I mean, ideally he should know, right? When you discuss the script.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you see, there are directors. I've met some directors who would say, "Oh, I leave it to a DOP to frame it up and let me approve." And they often don't even talk about shortlist, and they leave the shortlist to the DOP, which sometimes something's wrong, because in the end I'm like, hey, are you shooting for coverage or are you shooting for emotions? It's two different things. Shooting for emotions and coverage is two different things. And it should be shooting for emotions, not for coverage. Because if you get the emotions, one shot can already.
But if but at the same time, if you cover and edit it well,
so
if you do that properly,
so what I meant was
emotion would be
coverage is important,
yeah,
but that should not be guiding your decisions.
Yeah.
Because I have planned coverage, and my mind's change when I see certain performance with certain way I shoot, that I say, hey, actually that is enough to cover the kind of emotions I want to entail. Sometimes it's better to be away, sometimes it's better to be closer. Maybe the advice for people who are starting out, go for coverage more. As you go older, more experience, you know what you don't need. Often when you're shooting, I'm like, okay, I think I don't need more, because I'm gonna stick with how this scene is gonna be played out. The wedding thing now, it helps me. Not just wedding and editing.
Yeah.
It helps me plan my coverage.
Right.
I actually shoot to edit. Now that I thought about, now as we talk about it, performance is one thing, but I when in my mind I'm already editing as I'm watching the performance, because I know there my reverse, I'm gonna at this point I'm gonna cut this part, I'm gonna extend, and then where I'm gonna cut to the white, and so on, and so on, so forth. Coverage is good, but coverage should not be the guiding your decision. It's the emotions that should be guiding your coverage.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
And while you're working on Blood Ties, right?
Yeah.
Were you kind of operating in that mode as well, or were there?
No, not yet lah.
Right.
Ayo, back then really like when I say I didn't know what I was doing, I am being very honest about it. Meaning that I didn't know what to pay attention to.
Okay.
My coverage was not enough for my first film. I would say the idea of pacing didn't quite hit me until my second film onwards.
Right.
From my second film onwards, I'm very confident with how my film's pacing is gonna be. But my first film, I couldn't catch it.
So how were you kind of like operating on then? Were you like nervous every day?
Fuck, man, nervous like hell, man.
Right.
Sorry, I can curse on.
Can.
I was nervous as fuck, and then it was difficult working with Zhang Gong.
Oh yeah, expectedly he's quite infamous for that. For making
so
life
recently,
hard.
he
passed away.
it's not nice to talk about, before. But there was one time when in Hong Kong, he got into some situation where the Xie Xian
many situations. Yeah,
right.
It was a
That
TV
big
show.
one, right?
Yeah, like
And then
4 senior citizens. They
then
go on
he
the street.
slapped him and all this. Wow. Then
Sorry.
during
I'm not
there was a
aware.
press
Who's that
conference
who?
lah.
Okay, so there was this mainland Chinese program that took 4 very senior actors
That's right.
between the age of 70 to 80,
Yeah.
and one of them was Kenneth Tsang.
Yeah.
There was I think Hu Feng, right, and then one of them
Xie
is
Xian.
Patrick Say, who is Nicholas Say's father,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
and one more I have no idea, I forgot who he is. So they got into an altercation, and I don't know who slapped who. Yeah, because he was.
And
like,
it was a press. It was during the press
it was like
junket.
a press junket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Xie Xian who was slamming,
Yeah.
and then accusing him of making things difficult for everybody
Yeah.
on set, including the director. Why are you trying to do this and that?
Yeah.
And when he said all those things, I'm like, yeah, it matched up with. And then after that, they were all trying to salvage the situation by saying, oh, they were just doing it for show.
Yeah.
But people in the know actually knows that yeah, he does sometimes get into situations where it makes it
Yeah.
difficult for other people to work lah.
Yeah.
So it was like that for my film with him.
Yeah.
But that's it. Because of him, I learned how to communicate and grew my confidence on dealing with international cast. So when I went to China, I went to Malaysia and shoot with people like, subsequently also huge stars, like the one in China. Everywhere we go, we were mobbed, Then in Malaysia, is Cheng, Zhu Mimi. I also work with her. Subsequently, I've got more confident on how to direct and work with established actors versus not experienced actors. And then that's when I start realizing, hey, the skills of a director is very much a people skills that you need to learn. And then understanding the different actors, different kind of actors. Who do you let go? Who do you control more? And it's not all about you. Yeah, it's not all. And as the years go by, the more I direct, the more relaxed I am as a director, because you only step in when you need to already. You reach a point.
What was a specific moment of kind of clarity for you between Kenneth Tsang and you? Like maybe he just gave it to you and you're like, hey, you know what,
It was very awkward I'll be pretty candid. It was awkward almost every day.
In what way?
That our prox, we are giving instructions to each other and message to each other via proxy. My script.
So he wasn't talking to you directly?
Yeah. But everyone else was. And he got so controlling at one. Again, I don't think it's nice to talk about some these things. I personally want to avoid.
No problem.
And he is a very and again, I did learn a lot from him.
He's a very respectable actor who, until even right before his passing.
And I kind of regret saying, if only I had a chance to learn how to deal with someone like him before I had a chance to direct him, I think we would have hit it off much better.
Right. So let's say, with your experience now, how would you have approached working with him in Blood Ties?
Let him basically this. You just need to trust the actor understands the role. Ask him how he wants to interpret the role, and if it works within the context of the script, let him be. Let him do what he wants, and only tweak when you need to, because he is those actors who are already intuitively is gonna hit your target 90% or even better. What for you going to tell him more?
Right.
Unless he interpreted the story or the script wrongly. And there are moments when he did, and I told him through proxy, and he would take it. And he would go say, I'm like, to me it's like, doesn't matter. It's not about my ego. As long as I get what I want, I don't care how the instructions go through. Right? And he's not no, I must be my way as well. No. If he interpreted something wrong, okay, he'll change and he'll give you something right. Which is great. And it's through him, like I said, I'm in a way glad also that it happened on the first film, because if not, the future, if I have to learn it in my third film, fourth film, what the hell?
Wes Anderson waited to the third film to work with Gene Hackman, who I think gave a very similar treatment to him like what Kenneth Tsang gave to you. But
interesting.
But a great performance nonetheless.
But you see, look at someone like Gene Hackman. For instance, Gene Hackman probably would be similar in style, say someone like Clint Eastwood. All you need to do is have meetings and talk to them, or ask them, do you have questions about this? And from the questions that they ask, you know whether they are in the right direction or not already. And from there, you tweak. Yeah. As a director, when you have good actors, don't have to control.
And there's high chance they really done their homework
Yeah.
to a very full
Yeah,
extent.
and I've learned to give actors homework.
Okay.
Yeah, like in Taiwan, I had these two actors, very good. And I say, oh, can you write a love letter to the guy? And I asked the guy to write a letter to her. And then they evolved the letter as we shoot the series. And then you see they themselves discovering more about their characters and then adding things to the character. Wow, you know, you is that directing? Is that taught in the books? Not, probably not. But you learn how to work with actors by creatively.
Yeah.
Creatively. Does it make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Very human management skills also.
Yeah.
That applies to daily life.
Yeah. And understanding the person as a person. And then from there you work out. You have to fall in love with your characters. And I love good actors, intuitive ones.
Right.
And then you go on the creative journey, meaning you guys will sit down and talk about, hey, how do you want to play this? And then from there, oh, how far is it from what you want to play? If you want to take it on a direction that very different, then next question you ask, hey, wait, is it a better thing? Is it gonna be wow than to, you know, because you might be stuck in your own ways if you are the one who's writing the script. And if someone gives you something of a different perspective, whoa, if it works, let's go with it. But then you also have to think in terms, okay, will these characters change in interpretation affect the other actors that's gonna play with it? If it won't, good. But if you're working with lesser actors, it will scare them.
Right.
So then you have to play your management game.
Yeah. So talking about working with actors, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we can segue to that girl in Pinafore.
Yeah.
I think most of the cast were first timers.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
were very like green to the acting.
Yes. At that
job.
time, probably only Judith Tan was a bit, again, like maybe two telemovies at that point in time, you know. But again, there's a lot more than the rest that had none, you know.
So how do you work with a cast that is like very, very green, very, very new?
So typically when, you know, when they said that your casting is 90% of your job.
Yeah.
So I was I was auditioning like crazy to find characters that fit, the people with the personality close to that characters that I want. Or I find the characters that they are, for instance, there wasn't a twin character.
Okay.
Right.
It was just two good friends, but when the two of them came, I rewrote and then turned it into a twin character.
Right.
Sisters. No, so it's moments like this where you're like, okay, how do I use this creatively and actually turn it into something beneficial to you? Because one of them came, then she showed me what they've done. She were YouTubers, and then say, hey, who's this? I said, my twin sister. Then both of them came in, and then wow. Then I said, hey, can we cast both of them? And from there, that two characters were born. And so other than Julie at the time, maybe Darren Tan was also a little bit more experienced, but he's been sort of out of action for many years.
Right.
He was almost ready to quit the industry already, not going to because they weren't using him for any shows or whatever. And then when I found him, I was like, hey,
but he's still acting now, actually.
so after that, he got in Mata Mata and everything after going to Pinafore. So in a way, I think that film had helped to brought up some of their profile. Naomi Yeoh was discovered from that film as well. Ben King's wife.
Naomi Yeoh.
In the last scene as the daughter of Julie Tan.
So she came. So the audition, we had more than 80 over people who came. And then we wanted people who knows how to sing, who can play instruments. So we really we went through 80 over people to find that 5.
Right.
Not counting street casting, because the fat boy was street casted at KAP. KAP was not McDonald's.
Right.
McDonald's, no?
Yeah.
So, of course, after we street cast, and bring them in, and then we audition, then the thing was I put them into boot camp and sort of help them with getting themselves closer to one
It's
another.
almost like forming a K-pop band like that. That you have to like mix all this group match with each other. Okay, this is the final 5. That kind of.
Who led the boot camp, the acting boot camp?
Alvin
Chang,
Chiam.
who is the father of
Yes.
the Darren Tan character.
Hey, you know,
he's
yeah.
a theater. It's quite a theater
I
style.
see.
Yeah,
one.
he's also a director himself.
Yep.
He did 天冷就 I know 天冷就回来 yes. So he was the earlier one of the first director who did the theater 天冷.
Right.
Yes.
And how is Dagger in Pinafore to you right now as a film? Did it represent a certain breakthrough for you in terms of directing or?
It's interesting because as my third film, right, my first film, second film, third film, they consequently got less and less prints as they were released in the cinema, but the box office were higher.
Interesting.
It was in the opposite direction,
Okay.
which was very odd. But Girl in Pinafore hit 600,000 or so. That was a lucky one because, and we've often wondered, wow, if it had opened with more prints,
Right.
probably would have done better because it only started with 12 prints. You know how little that is. And then in the end, GV just kept on at it because there was one hall in Yishun and it's always full.
has to be the hall in Yishun.
It's always full, and then they just held on for. But you know, one hall, how much can you make? It's only like a few hundred, you know.
Yeah. I gotta say, The Girl in Pinafore, right, is probably the one film in international film history, right, that has the most references to Lolita Lee, which is the pin-up actress that they were all lusting after. Yeah.
For fun, you know.
Yeah.
That film is very much a tribute to a lot of things that I grew up with.
Yep.
So, you know, the porn tapes, porn tapes. Oops. The years where people were buying tapes from JB. So 92 for me was a year that I wanted to anchor the film because it was at the tail end of the Xin Yao golden era. Leading after that towards 97, 98. Around 98, that's when the new wave with Stephanie's son comes up. You know, and I was quite a Chinabiang back in school. So I wanted the film to somewhat be a metaphor for my own journey of losing my Chinese roots.
Okay.
And somewhat reflecting on how in order to succeed, you have to give up your Chinese and your dreams and embrace English and the real world.
So I have to make this pun, right? So 1992 is your year of no significance.
But yeah, it was it's a good one. It very much was for a tribute to that
And
collective memories of the people.
It's so interesting you said that because in that film, not to spoil anything, but we are spoiling anyway because
it's on Netflix. You guys can watch it on Netflix. Singapore.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Darren Tan's character ended up as an English literature teacher. Yeah, which is
It's by design. It's by design,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's an irony because I speak. Often I ask, okay, what do you think in? Which language do you think in?
English.
That's your master language.
Yeah.
When before college, I think in Chinese.
Right.
I went to Chinese lit. I took Chinese lit. I was and my English was so bad, but I didn't realize the fact that your English is bad. The rest of the subject suffers because everything else is in English. So like mathematics, come on, the problem sums are actually trick questions. If your English is crap, you're not I'm gonna figure it out.
You can't read between the
Yeah.
lines. Yeah.
And then there are situations where I don't know if you guys have encountered where sometimes at the end after exams they all will tell you the answers and they will say, oh, this problem sum can have 2 answers. Have you all encountered situations like that? They say because depending on how if you read it this way, it can be this answer. If you read it, then as a kid in secondary school, it didn't make sense to you because your English was that bad. You wouldn't know how else to interpret it. Like, how can you interpret it 2 ways? It's only until one day that I was like, oh no, my sister is 16 years younger than I am. And when I was in college and she was coming to me with a problem sum, I was like, ayo, this is so badly worded. If you interpret that, as I was explaining to her, I'm like, wow, the light bulb, boom. Oh, so that 20 years ago and 10 years ago when I was in school, I was so stupid, not because I was stupid, just because my English was bad. And it really suffered. I mean, my studies suffered really badly.
Right.
Then when I went to university in Michigan, I think my life really changed. And I embraced English. And my whole... In a way, when a language can shape your worldview. My personality changed quite a bit as well. I wasn't as outspoken, and I became more outspoken. And I wondered, could it be because of my...
Oh, you became more outspoken in the US.
Yeah, and I learned to... Yeah, I became a lot more confident. I was very... I had very low self-esteem growing up. Yeah, and maybe partly why when I after doing my first film, second film, I still don't feel like you know when you write fill up forms, occupation, I never dare to put filmmaker.
Right.
Like, what is a filmmaker? I didn't feel I deserved it, and I would say it was during and after going to Pinafore, I did a China film.
Yeah. Right.
Voice of China.
Yeah.
I was so depressed that I wanted to sell Mocha Chai. That was only 2 years into Mocha Chai, 3 years, and
Why were
go
you
back to
depressed?
It didn't turn out the way I wanted. It wasn't what I envisioned having a career in film would be, and I wanted to quit and go back to school. And I felt like, okay, I want to be a filmmaker. How do I reset?
Right.
But my wife didn't want to.
Right. So
Yeah.
Can you give some context as to what is that film that you're referring to?
So
Voice in
the
China.
film was called 为你转身 中国好声音. So
In
为你
English,
转身
it means...
it means turn you around.
Right.
Voice of China.
Okay.
It's a film that
A tie-in with the variety program.
with the variety program,
Yeah.
The Voice.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, and it was in Chinese. So I read somewhere describing it as a 抢钱电影, but basically it's a film that's I sold my soul for.
Okay.
I would openly admit, you know, but I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on me psychologically, and it didn't sell well. I mean, sometimes I also wonder if I'm just sway lah, because the film released in China, they did a very small release only because partly I think they were at the time having some politics with the cinema chain, and then they were trying to teach us a lesson or some crap.
Oh, that kind of things happen in
Yeah.
China.
And then we being, you know, MM2 wanting to break into China, and that was their first attempt, right? And then and then it got sold to Fox. Then finally, it was released like Christmas, 2003.
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in I think January before Chinese New Year, they wanted to release in Singapore and Malaysia. But guess what happened? The main actor got caught for drugs. Lee Tai Mo. And his career's gone lah. Gone to jail lah. Then the whole film, basically that's the end of the film.
I see.
And I was like, wow, no, there's no way, like critically bomb. I have no way to also have a good box office to earn back any sense of. There's no redemption, you know. And I'm like, go back to go and find a film school and find out what it is to be a filmmaker, right? And so my wife didn't want to leave, so I said, okay, never mind, then just go, forget about doing film. Then I didn't want to do any films anymore.
So that's why there's a 10-year gap like close to a 10-year gap between then
And Wonderland.
that film and
Yeah.
Wonderland.
So yeah, I mean, in between, I did Benjamin's Last Day.
Yeah.
Was
Short
because
film,
it was something that I promised Rick and Creative Room. They say, hey, okay lah, we'll do something together lah. And then when that grant came, I said, hey, okay, I'll go and do your part. Okay, you give me the budget, I can do lah. So we did the short film, and then I think winning that award sort of gave me a booster shot.
So this award is which award is it again?
It was the Grand Prix Short Shorts
In Tokyo.
in Tokyo. They call it George Lucas Award
George
now.
Lucas, yeah.
That was the year they renamed it, called it
Yeah,
George
yeah,
Lucas
yeah.
Award. I won the Tokyo Governor Award. I won the Best Asian Short Award.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what?
right,
3 awards in one.
Yeah.
It was quite a whoa, super unreal.
Yeah.
And it gave me confidence to say, hey, maybe I can try it again.
Was the film a moment of kind of like creative rediscovery for you? Would you say?
I can say so because I tried to do a reset on like, hey, I didn't want to
Right,
use my usual DOP, so I went with Amandi, and I was like, okay, let's write in a way that's a bit more. This term I keep using, emotionally driven, than more than just dialogue or story driven.
Right.
I mean, that whole film is a mood piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, watching that film, we were able to see that what you were kind of playing with visually is something you never. It's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, did that filmmaking experience, even though it's a long gap to Wonderland, carried on?
It did.
Yeah.
It got me to very much, like I said, everything for me is like, okay, how do I want the audience to feel?
Right.
How do I want me to feel
Yep.
in each scene?
Yeah.
As I'm from the writing process on, you already have that in your mind. And it never was about, okay, what's the story? It's more about how do I want people to feel? Yes, you have your story, but as you break your story down, every scene has to, you have to understand what are you trying to achieve emotionally.
Yeah.
More than just story or, you know, on a story level.
Yep.
Emotion becomes the driving factor for my decisions on a scene to scene basis. Do I want the audience to laugh? I want the audience to cry, and from there it's like, okay, is it doing what it's supposed to do? And from there you evolve. For Benjamin's Last Day, it was very much a piece about, I wanted to talk about regret and forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, and everything from the choice of shots to how you want the music choice. It's try to, okay, do I convey that?
Right.
It goes from there.
There's a part there's a moment in that short film, right, when I was watching, right, it almost felt like I don't even have to care where the story is going. Right? I was like, when the shot was kind of just trekking, they were at the seats, right, I was like, oh, I'm really into this really. So I thought that was very inspiring for me. It's something that I personally would aspire to try to capture as well.
I mean, it's a short film, and that's why I think all that lack of narrative is more forgiving.
Yep.
So it also makes me explore more about, okay, how do you make scenes interesting without dialogue? I do question a lot about that, like that. So like people always say, oh, will films be slow? And then I always like, I when people explore, say, oh, certain things are very slow, I say, okay, but I've seen things that's also like a long take, but it's not boring. Then in the end, why is that so? And very much is what you do before and what you put into people's heads that makes them whether they want to invest in that moment.
Right.
It's very much about, you really need to think about, okay, how do you want your audience to feel?
Mm. I mean, talking about long takes, right? I know you, the Yellow Cocoon Shell was done here at the Post.
Yes.
Have you seen that film?
So you see, I have a weird rule. Most people wouldn't know unless they've come to my place to work. I do not watch anything that comes from my place. So I've not watched Geylang as well.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Why is
Because
that
I
a
don't want to
rule?
be put in a position where, because from a bit, I think it's bad for my own business.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want boy asking me what do I think of his film,
Right.
Mm.
because it's a fellow filmmaker,
Yeah.
and they know I'm a filmmaker as well,
Mm.
not just a business
Yeah.
owner. So
You want them to have the best working experience here.
so it's my guys who's working on it, and they themselves being professionals, they every, just like how I look at my characters in my film, whether they are good characters or bad characters, I must love them.
Mm.
Every film deserves its own, care. That I don't think is fair to have someone ask me how I feel about a film,
I
because
see.
I will definitely everyone, directors have opinions, right?
Yeah.
I'm very transparent. I'd rather not watch it and say, yeah, I really have not watched it. So I have not watched Yellow Cocoon, but I've seen bits of it.
Okay.
But I from what I know is, I heard some of the soundscape done by my guys. So I think long takes doesn't matter. What. If your sound design is good, actually,
Inside the Yellow Cocoon has some pretty
Yeah, good
wonderful
sound.
long
Yeah.
takes, because we watched the film and it's on Netflix, by the way. Yeah.
I think that film is more about experience. As in, and
Actually, no, I
maybe?
forgot what the film's about, but after the last 2 months, it's a journey of discovery.
Yeah. It's like a spiritual journey.
It's
lah.
a spiritual journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going back to your film after that China film, Wonderland.
yes.
When did you start developing the script for Wonderland?
Actually, one thing we didn't outwardly talk about is actually how the story was inspired by an event that happened more than 20 years ago.
Mm.
When I was in college.
Mm.
So already back then there was this incident of my I just graduated, and then the freshman group, there was this one girl who was only daughter, scholarship, and in the first semester only, after the semester she was moving, and then there was a boy from another state, Singaporean, from Indiana state, came. He was driving her, it was late at night, and she was on the passenger seat. Car came and ran into the passenger side. She died on the spot. The guy was so guilty, went back within the same week, he killed himself in dorm as well. Both sets of parents have to fly their children's body back. I mean, that thing really impacted the student community there. There were counselors assigned to the Singaporean people who know her and all these things. And
This is the late 90s,
this was 2002.
2000.
I was living in US at the time. I stayed there for 6 years. I only came back 2003. So all the Singaporeans in Michigan and Arbor was really impacted because we all know. I mean, it's a small.
Yeah.
Everyone knows one another. And that story stayed with me for many years. And I've always thought about how do I tell this story without doing the exact same thing, because I don't really want people. I don't want it. I want inspired by, but not. But again, I didn't put inspired by a true story, because I don't want people to go and dig up this kind of thing. But for the family, it's not. It's going to be very painful. But as I become a father, it became even more like, wow, I really need to tell this story even more. But we developed the script over many years with different people, and until we had many versions, and then eventually it was maybe 2 years before shooting, I asked my producer, I said, hey, why don't you take a stab at it?
Why were so many people involved in the development?
Because I think one key reason was I wasn't at different times I wasn't sure whether should the story be about Tan or should it be about Look.
Right.
Tan is Mark Lee or
Tan is no
Peter Yu.
Peter Yu.
Look is Mark Lee's character.
Mm.
Right.
And I've often wondered which perspective should the story be told from?
Mm.
Should it be on Mark or should it be on Peter? But the character for Look is so understated that he might not look like he's gonna drive the story very much.
Yeah.
And so, the earliest versions were actually started from Peter Yu's perspective. But
Right.
in the end, and I couldn't find a way to switch it back to Look. That's why it took so many years until my producer said, hey, let me try.
For the benefit of listeners who
Yeah.
might not have seen a film, can you just quickly describe what is Wonderland about?
I would say it's about it's a story about a father sending the daughter in the 80s to the US for studies, and he sold his house, his kampong to do that without telling the daughter lah.
Yeah.
And the story is very much about how lies are used as a form of love,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
He lied to the daughter
Yeah.
to sell to and move to a single room rental flat to so that he can afford to pay for the education, and got his neighbor who is Peter Yu to read and write letters, but until one day he realized that the daughter met with an accident. Peter was the one who found out, and he, along with the rest of the neighbors, how do they keep up that lie from Mark Lee's character?
It's a very Asian thing. It reminds me of Lulu Wang's The Farewell.
The farewell. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because if you remember that film when it came out, when I heard the story, I'm like, oh, jialat.
Yeah, my one is Asian American.
Okay,
This one
will
Asian.
it be too close? And when I watched it, I'm like, okay,
Still
it's
different.
okay, it's still different enough, it's
Yeah.
alright.
Yep.
And then I went ahead and
Right.
and I was aware of that. And even before that, Zhang Yimou did something to do with writing letters as well.
Which one?
What
Yeah.
film is that?
I forgot the title, but that got me worried also. But in the end, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter because I feel we need to do things that's pertaining to our own culture, our own story. And there are many similar stories told by different cultures.
Yeah.
Through our own lens, it's already gonna be something fresh already. So why be afraid?
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, just to talk a bit about producing side, right? Because the script went through multiple writers. So, as a producer, when you bring in a writer and then you have to transition that writer out to bring in another writer, how does it work? Like, do you pay the first writer for what he has done, and then you engage a second writer, and it's another set of fees, and
Yes, of
how
course.
does it work?
Of course. So at different stage, you have to agree to a fees, and usually you agree on sort of stages. So sometimes, if up to the outline stage, you know something is not gonna work, then you can stop there lah.
Yeah.
And everybody's fair, you know.
Yeah.
Then you don't pay the full sum. They also didn't do the full thing.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
all's fair.
Yep.
There are scripts that are developed and paid in full for a full script. I've never produced them as well. I still have those ideas in mind. One day I want to do it, but then until the script is you can't build a house with a bad foundation.
Yeah. You don't write your own scripts.
My first two I did, but
Blood
I
Ties and
tried.
Twisted.
Yeah, but I tried to say get other people to write, and
Mm.
then I just do the final tweet
I see.
for my take on it lah.
How
Because
about even before the script, like the treatment? Is it also written by the writer, or do you at least have a treatment?
at that level, usually it's written by me.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are times where I literally have the full outline,
Right.
scene by scene breakdown, and say, you guys go and write.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then some writers will be, hey, I don't like it. Can I change? Okay, then change. You know, and then see what comes out of it. Then if there are things that I like, want to put it back, then I'll just tweak it back. So it in a way then, but I will always credit that writer as the first writer,
Right.
because I feel like that's always right, because the first draft, whoever wrote it will be the head writer.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Not the outline, the draft. First draft. Yeah.
So how many writers did Wonderland go through?
I mean, eventually, let's talk about the final
Yeah.
one. Final one is the main writer is Michelle, and then co-written by Si Tu Bi, who is Alan Ho. I don't know if you guys.
Alan.
Si Tu Bi, and then Chance, who is husband of Michelle.
Okay.
But actually, Chance worked with her to write the English one first. Then
Right.
Si Tu Bi came in and changed it to Chinese.
I see.
And changing some scenes as per he needs to. And then I came in to change that to more Hokkien. In fact, the final version that I go with for shooting was I trimmed 30 over. I rewrote and trimmed down by 30 over pages.
What do you take out?
I rewrote lah.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of scenes that's on a dialogue basis. I turn it into just pictures.
Okay.
I
Just
see.
action.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, only
You-
if I can
you-
say without
You
dialogue. then-
interpreted it, lah.
Yeah,
in a
I
sense.
reinterpreted the scenes. I was like,
Okay.
okay, instead of okay, can I do one scene where it's just they doing things and then
Right.
Okay.
we'll move
Right.
the story.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the final draft of the script to when like financing secured, because just now you mentioned that you have scripts that went unproduced,
Yes.
unfilmed.
Yes.
So, what made this particular film, in terms of the financing, come together?
I think one thing you cannot discount is the power of the government's grant. This film got rejected before. And then it was a second round where we got the grant. Then there was the major push to proceed. Because once you get a grant, actually there will be corresponding investors also.
So, are you saying that the previous scripts that went unfilmed was because they didn't get the government grant?
Actually, no, I didn't even apply.
I see.
So because the script is not good enough, why go and throw it out
Okay.
and because once they say yes, then you
The
you want
money
to go and
come.
shoot, and then you don't want to shoot this, then how?
Return.
Cannot return. It's gonna
I
return.
see.
You'll be blacklisted.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, if you say you didn't apply, means that makes sense lah. That
Yeah.
it went
Yeah,
unfilmed.
yeah,
Okay.
Because some of them is like I cannot lah, because and I actually got development grant before for script that also in the
Wait.
end I felt it's not good enough. I
A
decided-
development grant, okay lah. If you don't make it.
But you see,
it's
the
easier.
government
They stopped development
wants-
grant.
They stopped
right?
development grant because they
Yeah.
say there wasn't enough.
Right.
After development, never shoot. But I'm like, if it's not good, why do you want to go and shoot? Then turn out everybody don't look good.
Yeah. Then they
Right?
stopped the grant.
Then, it's for me, it's like, hey, it's in the end, if you have a good script, it's easy to go. So, I wish we have more script writers who don't want to be directors and just be script writers. Simply because we need, for every 10 scripts that are written, probably only 2 will get made. And for that churn, we need a hell lot of writers and direct. I feel almost every Singaporean directors are writers themselves.
Yeah, can
I
offer
personally want to, I want to find people to write for me. I don't want to direct.
I can. Yeah. I got 2 modes. One, the service, right? Service as writer mode, where I don't have any directorial thing, and I got my yeah. So
And I think a lot of directors should learn to direct other people's script.
Yes.
And
true.
it feels very freeing, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It feels very liberating because
Yeah.
it's easy to critique other people's work.
Yes. I know that feeling. Yeah.
And when it's not yours, and the person you work with is open, what? This
Yeah,
is
it
where
makes the script better,
when the 1 + 1 is bigger than more than 2.
Yep.
That's when
Yep.
it happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take this offline between the two of you.
But yeah, it's writing in Singapore. So far, the best writer I've worked with is in overseas. It was so good because already on the outline level, it can sell already. It's that good.
Okay. So you went to MM2 and
To do gap lah, because we got the government grant first, and that's actually the main bulk.
which
And
is
then
which is like how many percent of the budget?
70.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we did this film. We really made a lot of favors lah.
Okay.
Made a lot of favors to get this film done.
70%. I thought even P assist is
It's
not
done.
70,
my
right?
budget is less than Ilo ho.
Oh,
to make this film.
Okay.
Less than mil ho.
That's an I was thinking about meal. Okay.
Okay, we really tightened down and we really begged a lot of people for favors to do this, but it's not sustainable. And along the way, should be. Personally, I'm hoping
Yeah.
to be around National Day weekend, maybe a week before or something. Like
Right.
that. Another potential window is in June, end June,
Yeah.
last week of June. So these are the window I'm looking at.
Right.
And until I clear my senses, then I can go and park the date. So
Yeah.
that's typically how it works. Then once you park the date, everybody will know, okay,
Yeah.
when is the window. Then in terms of marketing, I do hope that the tagline to sell the film is, I hope that the children will bring their parents to watch this film
Okay.
and make a date with your father or your mother to watch this film. The idea is it's a film that, or even a parent would want to bring.
Yeah.
Like Karen from Royston's company is Tron Pictures. She
Yeah.
watched it. It's like, wow, I want to bring my daughter and go watch it. Okay. Yeah, she liked it very much too.
And any thoughts of bringing the film to schools or?
So yeah, like in your case, I want you to bring your father to go watch it. I think your father. I hope it's a film that provides a chance for the child and the parent to bond.
Right.
And so far I've been seeing a quite a consistent response from public screenings that a lot of them say, I watch it, I feel like going back to call my father or call my mother. From the children perspective. Then the older one who watched it, wow, I want to bring my siang I'm going to watch this. and I was like, oh, that gave me an idea on, okay, maybe the marketing would be gearing towards it's a film to bring your parents. Or when's the last time you had a date with your parents? Bring them to watch the film. This film, that kind of approach.
Yeah. Good trip the kids to bring their parents.
But in the end, I think a large chunk of the audience will be in the 50s. Will be the older generation, because the Hokkien actually is. I use this opportunity to sort of bring back the Hokkien that I grew up with when I was. I'm from the Geylang Kampong, and then a bunch of them all. When we moved to HDB, I was more in the Aljunied area, and in fact, when we were doing locations, I kept going back to Aljunied because I wanted to anchor the story in Aljunied, but in the end, it was a combination of Toa Payoh and Bedok. Because Singapore changed too much already. It's very hard to find things the original state that they are, and even I'm not sure people of your generation might even be around to understand the Lao Hokkien, like the authenticity of it. You know it's Hokkien, but then the way it sounds is very different from how it was back then versus now. and I managed to find a group of them who are familiar with that kind of speaking lah. Ironically, I think the most the most difficult one was getting Xenia to sound close to it.
Okay.
I see.
She's the
Okay.
giveaway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but most people wouldn't be able to tell. But the
Yeah,
young
yeah.
generation cannot tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this is probably the first in many years that I know of any Singapore film that has a Hokkien of this authenticity. And I think only you can't tell by reading subtitles. Yeah, you can't tell by reading subtitles.
But the strive to nail these things, right? I think it's important as filmmakers and everything. Even regardless of how many people realize it or anything, but you know, if you achieve that, right, then that is a very
I'm a stickler for that
yeah.
because I personally, and if you want to call it like there wasn't 华校 anymore the time, but it was like just as the early days of SEP school, so to speak. My father and my mom, they only speak Mandarin, you know, and I grew up in a very Chinese speaking, but even our Chinese speaking is you can tell the difference between 读华校 or 没有读书的华校 the family. You know, there is that kind of difference in Mandarin, and then and I as the generation passed, I realized less and less people can tell that distinction. And I can tell it from a lot of films because I can see a lot of the Chinese dialogue in a lot of Singapore films. Well, okay, this one is directed by someone who doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak Mandarin. From every line that is spoken makes me cringe, and I'm like, but people cannot detect. And how many directors in Singapore has this kind of sense of probably Anthony, maybe Boris Boo, and Jack Neo. And not many because a lot of them are they're more the Ang Mo Pai.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be able to detect. And they can't even tell. If they can't tell, how can they direct it? You know what I'm trying to say? No? But the audience wouldn't know any better because most of the audience are so well brainwashed by the government system already, you know, that we don't even know when it's not right. Yeah. And don't even mention about the foreign you know, the festivals, because they are just reading subtitles.
Yeah.
And for many times when I watch certain things, I'm like, you know, like people don't talk like that. But then
it doesn't matter.
you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
You
subtitles.
wouldn't know.
It's just subtitles.
Yeah.
Subtitles and foreign language.
Yeah.
And image. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a stickler for that because partly because of me belonging to a certain group of a certain time and era, you know. Yeah, I feel like I'm very old like that. But I am not from the current generation of filmmakers where, I mean, from school they've learned to go through the festival route and then go to labs and then get their connections and then piece together funding from different countries. I've never gone through that route. I wonder if I should start trying.
No, actually not exactly, because your type of film is not suitable for that kind of route. Unless you have like a more art housey type of film, right?
Again, I've often struggled to like what constitutes art house. Sometimes I wonder.
That's a good question.
The term art house and commercial, sometimes I'm like, I really don't like to define. Like, why can't we just say define films by type and content as opposed to...
I suppose what Seping is saying that for example, if Wonderland was to be developed in a lab, right, there will be certain elements and structural things, right, that has to be kind of tweaked up their alley in order for them to kind of develop, and it will change
the nature of that film.
No, Yeah. No,
that as well.
Actually, I want to dispute what you just said because
Okay.
I feel
Yeah.
this distinction is for me there's a very clear distinction, and everything I'm about to say right is basically what David Baudel said in he has this very famous film textbook called Film Art.
Mm.
So, I mean, and of course there are exceptions lah, but very broadly, when we talk about commercial mainstream films,
Mm.
and then we talk about art house films, right, they're very clear, either structural elements or like characteristics. So for commercial films, typically, there is a very, number one, there's a very strong main character, and this main character has a very clear goal, and in this entire film, the main character pursues that goal relentlessly. So this is the typical characteristic of a commercial film. Of course, an art house film, there may be some art house films that has the elements, so maybe like, I don't know if you've seen Rosetta by Dada and Brothers, but most art house films, you can agree their narrative structure is very loose, right?
Mm-hmm.
The characters might not have a very clear goal. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. Yeah. Whereas in a conventional mainstream film, you can't have a character that doesn't know what he wants. If not, this film is almost unwatchable. Yeah. From a mainstream film going perspective.
So you see,
Yeah.
in what you have been talking, you have changed the term between mainstream and commercial,
No, for me they're almost synonymous.
and then there's art
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Then, why I am very scared to define what is
Right.
art house and what is not is simply the same thing as when people ask, how do you define art? And when anyone tries to come up with a definition, I'll say then something is wrong already.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. Wonderland, for instance. I've got a group of people, and I'll tell you, if I tell you who gives what kind of description, you can immediately categorize them into the different groups already.
Okay.
Okay. There are groups that says this too dramatic, too drama,
Okay.
too emo, this film.
Okay.
And then there's a group that tell me 这个不够洒狗血.
Means
Okay.
in English
Not,
terms.
this film is not drama enough.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, doesn't make me cry. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And then I also have the group that says, it is art house. Then I also have a group that says, no, this is obviously commercial.
Right.
And I'm like, wait. This seems to categorize the group of people more than the film itself. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It seems to...
Because as a filmmaker, you are clear what this film is.
Okay.
Actually,
And I can tell you from the European perspective, this is too drama. This is not art house enough. Okay,
can
this
see.
is very commercial.
yes.
Okay, and too over the top.
Yes.
From the American art house perspective, it straddles the line.
Yeah.
You see, and then you be, wait. So who do I listen to as a definition for what is what house? And
You
then,
know-
and then, accessibility is another term that I like to ask. If it's accessible, does it make it less a house?
What? Okay. I think right.
And I would say, for instance,
Yeah.
you see last year's SGIF.
Sorry. Before I can just quickly talk about
okay,
accessibility. I would say that all accessible films. What's that word? So all commercial mainstream films are accessible, but not all accessible films are commercial /or mainstream, which means by definition, all mainstream commercial films are accessible,
Okay.
but there may also be art house films that are accessible, And of course, as you all know, there are definitely art house films that are very hard to access.
And can I propose another way that you may
And
look at the
and-
kind of films out there,
Yeah.
which is, are they more Eurocentric or American-centric? Why I say this? Because I realized that two styles, the kind of taste between the two worlds are quite distinct. What is considered a commercial film versus what is not are very distinct in terms of from a European-centric perspective and from a American-centric. And Singapore art house is very much European-centric. Does it make sense?
I don't know, because I think you say that because a lot of European art house films are generally more inaccessible.
I never use the word accessible. I'm
Right.
talking about styles.
Yeah, the style is inaccessible.
And
Such as
such
like
as
we talk recent fare.
Recent like Kieslowski, Bellata. When we think of European art
Right,
house, these are the names that immediately come to mind.
but then
Right?
I'll throw you a banana. Our poster boy, Ilo, first time I saw it, and his other films, I see them as European accessible and also
Yeah.
art house.
Yeah, so
But
I
it
think,
is very different from those examples
yeah,
that you just brought up.
I think because to be nuanced, right? Everything is
Yeah.
on a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So there is this very long spectrum, and on the extreme end is like very, very, very art house, which also for me means very, very, very inaccessible.
Or could it be just called experimental?
Experimental
That is
is
another-
in a
That's
different world.
a different word.
that's a
Okay,
different
fair.
world.
yeah.
So on the super extreme art house end,
Yeah.
you have like Bellata,
Yep.
Love Diaz,
Yep.
right?
4-hour films.
8-hour film, 4-hour film, long shot, long take.
Yeah.
Yeah, very hard to sit through. Very the so when I talk about accessible or inaccessible, the film language is inaccessible.
Okay.
Yeah, because most audiences typically cannot sit through a long take and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Few characters not really moving, not really talking, right?
Yeah.
And then on your other way extreme end is very accessible, very commercial films, which can be
Parasite. How do you categorize that?
Parasite. Okay,
Coda. How do you categorize that? I mean,
Coda, the
American.
the
Best Picture.
Oscar
Yeah.
Best Picture.
Yep.
So Parasite is obviously a commercial film, but the thing is, there are good commercial films and bad commercial films,
Okay.
right? So, like I would say, most of Christopher Nolan's films are great commercial films. Same with most of Bong Joon-ho's films, right? And we have terrible commercial films like Michael Bay's films, and
I
and
beg to differ. I think
At
some
least-
of them are pretty
at least
great.
Transformers 4, 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
are all very
Okay,
bad, right?
okay.
Yeah, maybe the first one is not bad. Yeah,
The Rock was great.
The Rock is great. Armageddon is great.
yeah.
Bad Boys was
So sometimes I'm like,
Okay,
guys,
yeah,
I say
yeah,
whenever we watch films, I say, whether you want to categorize art house, whatever,
Right.
can we just go with, do you enjoy the film? No.
No,
Do
no.
we? You ask me,
right.
are there slow films that I don't like slow films? No, I also like slow films, or films that I think might feel slow, but other
Right.
people might. Again, it's very hard because we are in this industry and our tolerance and our range is a lot wider than say my mother,
Yeah.
or a guy from the hood in
Right.
in
Right.
Detroit, for instance, right?
I mean, at the, for me at the end of the day, I watch both kind of films. But for me, the distinction should still exist and still make sense is because they describe two very different approaches to cinema. Maybe art house is not a very good way to describe that kind of film. Maybe art film is better. And the priorities are a bit different. Like the priorities of an art film, right, is to try to get close to reality, right? Whether it's psychological reality or like a social kind of reality. So there are social realist films that are
Yeah.
very concerned with the actual lives of people, and that's the main priority of the film, to depict that kind of life in a very realistic manner. Or it can be like psychological reality, right? So like a David Lynch film. So they're not very concerned with, will audience understand what I'm trying to say? No, that's not their priority. But the priority,
But then the word
priority
that, doesn't it conflict with the word realism?
No, realism as in whether it represents the reality of whether it's the character's psyche or the reality of that social political situation, right? Whereas the number one priority of a commercial / mainstream film is entertainment, making sure that the audience can follow the characters and what they're doing and the characters' motivation. Yeah.
I also disagree with that, simply because there are commercial films that challenge the audience as well. So purely to making sure that they understand, I'm not sure everyone follows by that rule. And I'm also not very sure that everything goes by the hero's journey as well. I'll give you an example. LA's Confidential. It's not a typical hero's journey commercial film. Because there's multiple, right? And again, I don't know how we got into this this conversation.
It's an interesting discussion.
But when I do my films,
Yeah.
I do not go into that kind of analysis.
Right.
Sure.
I look at a story, I look at a character, and then I ask how would I channel
Okay.
that
Yeah.
character's emotions. That's as simple as how I and see how the style will evolve from there. So
Yeah.
you look at Sister, you look at Benjamin's Last Day, and you look at even Wonderland.
Yeah.
I dare say all three of them have a different pace as well as emotional arc, simply because I feel I let the story,
Right.
I try to let the story sort of guide me.
Right.
So
I
would you say
think-
Benjamin Last Day is an art house shot?
Yes, definitely.
It is.
Yeah. I
From-
think-
from-
But you see,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It has the ingredients when we saw it that oh wow.
Yeah.
It is.
and
in
I
that-
often I'm
yeah.
like, maybe it doesn't help that my name is on my works. I should take my, and
Right.
that is the reason why you look at all my films, you do not see my name until the rolling credits come.
Right.
That's my purpose, because I don't want people to watch something and say who did it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what you just said at the beginning, you don't think about all these categories, right? I think 100%, right? Most directors don't need to think about in terms of these categories, but it might in fact help you as a filmmaker in your case if you do, because especially since you want to make films that are accessible, right? Okay, maybe that's not a good word to use here, but you want to make films that a lot of people go and watch, correct? Right. So if you want to make films that appeal to as many people as possible, then I feel like it makes sense if you try to think about what makes a film more appealing than the next film. So
Can I just bring something
Yeah.
up? I mean, this is all for discussion.
Yeah.
right?
Like-
I feel every filmmakers, whether you're art house film,
yeah,
you want as many people to watch your film,
Absolutely.
accessible or not. Whether it's accessible or not, everyone wishes that the film can find its audience.
Or rather, you want the most out of your niche
So
market.
whether
to
I
come and watch it.
do a film and say my goal is to make it accessible, I don't think I actually
okay, maybe let's frame
approach
it
that
another
way.
right?
Does it make
So,
sense?
For example, right?
Yeah. I'm
Like-
enjoying this conversation.
For example,
by the way.
let's say you're James Cameron, right, and you
Yeah.
just spend $1 billion making Titanic. Obviously, you want to make all that money and way more than what you put in, right? So, if you're James Cameron, of course you think, okay, how do I get 2 billion people into the cinemas or more to watch this film that I just sunk more than $1 billion into? Same thing for Avatar, right? So, with that kind of like mentality, right, I think it would help you, in fact, if you think about, why are some films more compelling to watch than other films. Yeah, and I think a reason why some reception to your film, right, feels like it's somewhere in the middle is because there isn't, like Peter Yee's character and Mark Lee's character, they don't have this driving goal. At least it's not, especially Peter Yee's character, it's not strong or clear enough. Until somewhere in the middle of the film when Peter Yee's goal is very clear. He has to keep Mark Lee in a certain illusion, right? Because Mark Lee's daughter has passed, so it is until that somewhere in the middle, then Peter Yee has a goal, has a very clear goal. In the first part of the film, he doesn't really have a goal. That's why it feels a bit art housey, right? Art housey. Whereas Mark Lee does have a goal, but his goal is to keep his daughter in uni, right? But the thing is, we don't really see him pursuing that goal. It's more like in the background, you know, he's working and like all the things that his goals are being done in the background. The audience doesn't really see it. Yeah, that's why I feel it's a bit the audiences in Europe
hybrid.
There's
this hybrid
The
mix of it.
the way I like for you when you say it's not very clear until this happens.
Yeah.
And for me is I know when that thing happens. I purposely wanted the pace of the film
Yeah.
to feel a bit more free form before he leaves the kampong.
Mm.
That was my goal.
Mm-mm.
That was how my decision was guided by. I want, when before going into the HDB, life was idyllic. Life was just a lot more I don't want to say aimless, but
More chillax lah.
chillax lah, you know, you want to call it chillax lah. And I wanted the audience to suddenly things started moving after we moved out.
Correct, right? And in fact,
but the way I designed or go for that wasn't say, I was trying to please this audience or trying to please that audience.
Yeah.
That
Totally
has never
understand.
been that kind of decision. It's more on how I feel I want this to feel. Then again, I also believe when the film goes out, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say you achieve you achieve your goals, in fact. But because what you intended in the first part of the film to portray this kind of kampong pace life, right, which is reflected in the pace of the film, has resulted in people feeling like, especially the first half,
is a little slow.
Correct. Hence more art housey.
But I always believe that we should take a step back and say, look at the whole picture. Why? Those guys paid money. They're gonna spend 2 hours there. I don't care how they feel in the front. In the end, they come out and they say, I love the film. That's all that matters. Because if I did not invest them in that, they may not have felt the same way as they're coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
At least that's my goal for this film. And that's my take.
Right.
And when it goes out, how will the audience respond?
Right.
My gut feel so far, at least I see it in Palm Springs, Caucasians watching it and crying. I'm like, okay, obviously they felt something.
Yeah.
Right.
Regardless of its language. In Singapore, I hear people sniffing as they're watching as well. And when I have previews, the previews that I gave are not regular audience. The only times the regular audience were at this. Even technically, if you think about the festivals, it's sort of a people who are more used to a certain kind of films. And even different kind of festivals have different kind of crowd. Strangely, at Wonderland, a lot of old people turn out. I've got no idea where they.
For the SG screening.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like kind of shocked. I was this auntie coming, but we there, this and that. I was like, wow. And then people started giggling and everything. So I was like curious. Oh, things you think I planned markedly a throat draw. Would I actually thought about it?
Of course, you have to think about it.
I wouldn't think of this particular, like how big of its impact. It's only all in theory until it happens.
You mean how big of an impact a famous cast is?
Will draw audience.
Can you talk a bit more about Mocha Chai's plans into content development and production? Is that part of your strategy to try to grow this commercial film industry?
No lah, I'm not a martyr. Okay, I mean, we want to do a lot of co-pros, but so far the development that we're doing is all with international productions, so with international content. Ironically, hardly any Singaporean.
When you say international content, like primarily which countries?
So we have done one with Taiwan, and we still have some projects with Taiwan.
Okay.
We have
like
two
TV series or films?
Mix. So we have also like two projects with Thailand. And they are hyper local. Our goal is hyper local. I'm not gonna direct. I produce. Maybe the concept is from us, but we'll want a local writer, local director to execute. And we work with local producers, because we the goal is this is gonna be Thai. It better do well in Thailand, not for Singapore. Yeah.
Right.
And we are just a international co-pro partner. That's it. Not and that's how we are like our efforts in development are. Even there are some that is actually for North America. Yeah. And then we'll involve North American writers.
Right.
You see. Yeah. And so yeah, it's we do not have the kind of capabilities to expand the Singapore.
Right.
Yeah. But as a Singapore director, yes, I look to do more Singapore content. A particular project I'm working on and developing, I don't see a lot of commercial appeal, but I am very fascinated by the subject topic. But it's a very Singaporean story. So
well, why can't you structure it to make it more commercial?
I feel what will make anything accessible and commercial is basically on execution, quality, and good storytelling. If something is good, like for instance, Schindler's List, right? Is it it's a depressing film, right? It's violent.
But it also happens to be
But
the biggest thing that happened in history.
But it's a great film, right?
Yeah.
So, do Singapore have stories like that I feel locally and on an international people, they are. But how do we tell it right? But still being authentically local. But that's my own projects and those are gonna be far and few in between, because until you get some government support, it's gonna be very hard to make. Let's be honest. Unless I have a sugar daddy I don't have a sugar daddy.
Governments are sugar daddy.
I don't have a sugar daddy.
Make the Singapore Schindler's List.
No, I've often want to do a Sook Ching film. A film that happens in Sook Ching. Yeah.
What? That seems like something government will get behind.
But you see, to do a film like that will probably cost $2 to $3 million. A $2 to $3 million Singapore film, I don't think our market is ready for it yet. Of course, I would, as an idealistic filmmaker, I'll be no, But then, if the numbers don't come back, it can scare other investors away to do even smaller films like La Luna.
Yeah.
So let's learn to crawl first and then slowly get our way there. I don't want to we all have big dreams, but maybe sometimes we have to pace ourselves. One of my lecturer used to tell me when I was in college, sometimes in order to go far, you have to go slow. So maybe we have to remind ourselves that I'm sorry if we are extending. How long have we been talking, man?
I'm not. It's just.
Then I was right. You see, I was like,
2
hours enough, because if you are talking about our industry has a lot of problems that I don't think it can be easily solved with just one policy or two policy. It takes political will to make it happen. But let's remain hopeful along the way, lah. If not, I was like, give up.
Have to be, if not.
But you give up already, one. You left already, one. You went to no lah. But yeah, who knows? Maybe you make shit tons of money and say, I'm gonna give money to directors to go and make the dream projects, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great, actually.
That would be great, right?
Yeah.
Then no government has got nothing to do with it, right? But of course, and I would believe if you are to give money out there, you're gonna say, hey, I don't want you to go and do a film that cannot be released.
Yeah.
At the very least, you want it to give some hope to the rest of the industry, right?
Yeah. 100%.
If you're the one coming with the money, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah.
Earn a lot of money and then be the.
So I actually pitched the story about Sook Ching to Jack Neo before.
And then.
He said it's a great story, but then he said, but it's too expensive. Nobody will make it. After that, of all the people who have the
power
to do so, it's you.
Yeah.
Right.
With all due respect, I would not want him to. I would not want to see his version of that
Get him to produce someone else. Yeah.
It's, because his job so is comedy, and I don't think there's anything funny about that event. And
Who would you get to direct the Sook Ching movie?
But you don't know my directions.
Huh?
I'll just share the story. I actually have a full script even written before.
I think you should do it because it's your story.
I'm actually trying to tell the story of 3 kids trying to save their parents, their fathers who are taken to, but it ends in a very depressing one. And I wanted to tell the Sook Ching story through the perspective of 3 kids who naturally are naive. Kids still want to have fun, but coming of age, being faced with this kind of circumstances, yeah. So yes, I'll still want to make it like almost a little bit of Stand By Me, right? Stand By Me is fun,
frame of reference,
right? But it's also a very sad film.
Yeah.
Have you watched Stand By Me?
No, I haven't.
It's
directed by
Rob Reiner, who is at one point probably one of the best commercial film directors in Hollywood. Just one string of solid film after solid film, and then somewhere in the late 90s, right? Just.
Shall we move on to the quickfire round?
Oh yeah, we should do that. Yeah. So we've reached the final part of our podcast where we have this thing called a quickfire round. It's usually when we ask guests a few questions. It's either just a simple open-ended question or a choice questions.
Yeah.
You just fire off.
And you have to say why you pick that choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
No, you go with first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the films of Jack Neo or Eric Khoo?
Wow. It must be one or the other one.
Yeah.
Because there are films that I like from both of them.
Okay.
If let's say you are stranded on an island right now, and you have a suitcase, and you can only take one of these directors' films on a pocket DVD. Whose films will you take to a desert island?
It's a very dangerous. It's a very dangerous question to answer. Why not I just pick one DVD from this pile of DVDs?
Okay. You can pick a few DVDs.
It'll be Home Run.
Oh,
Okay, it's actually one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Maybe Home Run.
That's a good choice to bring to
Okay.
a desert island.
Yeah.
How about from Eric's
Yeah,
side?
and if I'm not wrong, did Zhao Wei had to do something to do with it as well? Or is it Oak Tree? I don't know.
I think it's just Rain Tree.
Rain Tree,
Yeah.
is it? Okay.
How about Eric's body of work? Which one would you pick?
12 Stories.
Okay.
Oh, interestingly, Jack New's in it.
Yeah.
A very fine performance by Cheng in there, actually.
12 Stories, yeah. 12 Stories. Somehow, okay, I also like Report Man. Okay, 12 Stories. No, 12 Stories.
Okay.
12 Stories.
Okay, second one. The Ring or The Grudge? You
The Ring.
The Ring. Why?
But actually, neither.
'Cause-
It's Darkwater.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Not bad. Okay. You take that, alright?
Yep.
Okay, next one. The Maid or 2359?
The Maid lah.
Why?
Quality wise.
Mm.
Okay, not to say too true. I know Gilbert as well.
Right.
It's too short. It's only 80 something minutes. The Maid, from production value already, his
Yeah.
and of course, what a killer ending, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me,
Good
I
twist.
mean, still the best Singapore horror. film.
For the Maid, the first 10 minutes you're in it, you're like, oh yes, look at that. That's
Yeah.
how a Singapore film should look like, man. Yeah. And I
But-
miss that.
I didn't,
Yeah.
never archived properly.
Yeah.
Okay, the
What do you
film
mean?
is lost.
Huh?
They only have a digi-beta version of it. Okay?
Oh.
It was shot on
Damn.
film, my friend.
Damn.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's move on. This one you can choose because this is Hollywood. Sam Raimi or Wes Craven?
Sam Raimi.
Why?
I think simply because it was one of my earliest influences. I'll never forget watching Evil Dead in my grandmother's home.
Other than Evil Dead, what are some of your favorite Sam Raimi films?
Darkman,
Yeah.
A Simple Plan. It's not a horror film, by the way. He produced.
Prime film.
Wait! Drag Me to Hell. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's quite.
Fuck, so good.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
more recent.
But
Yeah,
it's so.
yes.
It's the execution is brilliant.
I agree.
So very tight, and so well
I
executed.
actually watched that in cinema.
Hey, same.
Yeah.
It was my sister's idea, and oh my
So
god,
good.
so
And
scary.
And it's funny and it's scary
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
whoa, And I watched it at Cannes.
Okay.
Premiere at Cannes.
Nice.
Whoa, the audience, everyone was cheering. Wow,
Wow.
like yes, this
A
is
Sam
it. No,
Raimi film I can't. Wow.
Yeah.
yes, I
Actually,
saw it at Cannes.
Actually, I want to watch that film again soon.
Wow, yes.
Yeah.
Drag Me to Hell.
Wow.
Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But you all never heard of Simple Plan?
No, never.
Go check it out.
I heard before.
It's
I
not
never
a horror
watched
film.
before. It's a Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about. I don't want to give away. You can watch
Okay.
it.
I would have picked Wes Craven. For me, the Scream series is.
It's great.
undisputed, Yeah.
It's great.
Also another master.
Scream is
Yeah.
great. I mean, again, it's not a matter of who's better. In the
Yeah.
end, it's about my
Preference.
point of entry into horror was
Sure.
Sam Raimi. was-
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. You wanna go? Another horror pick.
Oh, this one I will take.
Okay. Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees.
Jason.
Okay.
Wait.
Don't tell me you're gonna give me the Halloween guy. What's the Halloween guy?
Oh, shit, what's his name?
What's his name?
You know what?
Michael
Myers.
Myers.
Personally, I've never been deep into slasher films.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more into horror,
Okay.
things like The Others, Sixth Sense, but
Okay.
I've never been into slasher films.
Right.
Maybe that's why Scream, wow,
Oh,
great.
okay.
It was another
Right.
slasher film to me.
You know when we interviewed Vincent Quack,
Yeah.
he shared with us that from his observations, Singaporeans are not into slasher films. Do you agree?
Really? No, I recently watched one. I loved it.
Singapore slasher film?
No, not
As in,
Singapore.
Singaporeans are not into slasher
Okay,
films.
okay.
No, and there was a Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
So fun.
But they,
so fun. Eli Roth, I think. Wow,
Yeah, Eli Roth.
wow,
Right.
so fun. It's a slasher film.
right,
That was
but
fun.
did that do well in the box office?
No.
Precisely, right?
Which is weird. Right?
Validates Vincent's point.
I do think that there should be a Singapore slasher film.
Singapore slasher film.
Yeah.
But I cannot make money.
Singapore slasher.
But then again, it brings back the
actually,
idea,
all the slasher film has one common. I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
Mm.
Okay, they all have one thing in common. It's always a whodunit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Really?
No, what? As in
Almost.
Jason Voorhees and Mike Myers and stuff.
Yeah, it's always in the early days. It's always they didn't know who it was.
As
in
in,
fact-
you know the guy did it lah.
No, there was one. It wasn't him. There was a twist. The second Halloween. It was
Okay.
It was. I don't want to give it away, but
I
yeah.
only watched the first one, where
Yeah.
where you just see him walking very slowly and killing each person.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
twist. But anyway,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But never mind. Yeah, slasher films. That's true. I mean, yeah. Freddy Krueger is interesting.
Yeah.
I think among all of them, there's one that left a very deep impression. Was the Dream Warriors. I think it was episode 4
Wow.
or 3.
What's
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right, I don't think I watched.
And I'll never forget. Also, there was once I know again the Johor thing.
Okay.
And in school, we were like, there was after exams, and then they allow us to bring videotape to them and watch. Then I brought one, Nightmare on Elm Street. Wow, my teacher was like, Chai Wei, what are you trying to do? I said, what? I said, I know what you're trying to do, okay? Don't bring porn to school. I said, what porn? They typo Nightmare, they write Nightmate on the Elm Street. What? I said, no, it's really that. I said, don't bluff me, go away. I was like, yeah, okay, anyway.
Okay, Nightmare on Elm Street. That would have been
That's a good one.
Okay, next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite Hong Kong film and director?
Director first lah.
Yeah.
Peter Chan.
Okay.
You know, and favorite. Wow, there's so many. Wow, there's so many.
Okay, which one will
You
you
are
bring
stuck
to the
on the
island? Which?
There are so many, and,
Yeah.
and some are so quirky. Some are more serious. You know. There's so many.
All off the bat of.
Can I just
Yeah.
go a string of movies?
Sure. Go ahead.
One of my favorite wuxia one is 笑傲江湖
So
by Jing Hu.
Eh?
King Hu.
Oh, King Hu. Oh,
Produced by Choi Hak.
which one? What's the English
The
title?
first one of
The Blind Swordsman.
the
What?
the something the Swordman.
So,
The Swordman.
Oh, okay.
Right.
The first one and he's acted by Sen Hui.
Oh.
To me, he is the definitive Ling Hu Chong versus the second episode is Jet Li.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like King Hu, but my favorite of his is A Touch of Zen.
Touch of Zen.
Yeah.
So 笑傲江湖 was my
And King Hu worked with Zheng Peipei.
Oh yeah.
So that is your
Yeah.
degrees of separation from King Hu.
So that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite wuxia. One of my favorite Hong Kong films, Chongqing Express.
Mm.
Oh,
Okay, that one is self-evident.
Yeah. No need explanation.
Yeah, no need explanation.
Ironically, none of them from. Another underdog wuxia pian, which I felt was so well done, but not many people remember. The Tip Ma Lao Iron Monkey.
I don't know. I never see.
It's 少年黄飞鸿之 Tip Ma Lao. The story is about young Wang Fei Hong
Right.
Sifu, okay, and it's fantastically directed and choreographed kung fu film.
Right.
Iron Monkey, go check it out.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And actually there's one I should name, but then it's called Flying Corpse. It's a horror film,
Flying Corpse. Okay.
and it is out of print, very hard to find.
Mm.
But that film influenced my first film. It was my
Okay.
inspiration for Blood Ties.
All right.
Mm.
Okay.
No Stephen Chow films.
Wow, far. I love Stephen Chow too. One of my favorite of his is Justice My Foot.
Mm.
I
and
can't
then
remember.
Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, Shaolin Soccer is my entire childhood.
So good.
Yeah.
But Justice My Foot, his first time he got nominated Best Actor as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan?
Wow, so many leh. His early works lah.
Yeah.
A Ji Hua was great. Project A.
Mm.
Mm.
Nice.
Wow.
Favorite Peter Chan film? Peter Chan.
Wow, so many. One of my favorite, I don't know whether you'll remember. It's called He Ain't Heavy, He's My Father.
Oh yes, it's a
It's
time
a-
travel film.
It's a Chinese New Year time travel extravaganza while talking about the history. Well, yeah,
Of Hong Kong,
of Hong Kong.
and it stars
Wow,
small
Tony Leung,
and big
Big Tony Leung,
Big Tony Leung acts as
and
his
Karina
father.
and Karina Lau.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow, I tell you,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, it's a happy, fun, heartwarming film.
Yeah. He goes back in time to find his father, and his father is played by Big Tony Leung,
It's,
and they are the same
yeah.
age that time.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a
Okay.
fun.
Since you're on the topic of
Hong
Hong Kong film, you wanna ask this question?
Oh yeah, favorite Kenneth Tsang film.
Wow.
He has a huge body of work.
Wow. He was in Police Story.
Which one? All of them or
Which one?
First one, I think.
first
Is it?
one? Okay.
Or is it second one? I don't remember. No. Better Tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Better Tomorrow.
He was in Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First and second one.
He
As
was
the cab driver.
cab driver, taxi
yeah.
driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. With 义气.
Do you ask him any stories from Better Tomorrow?
They were not even talking.
Do you ask him your proxy? Can you go ask Mr. Sun how was it like acting?
Yeah, but yeah, he was in
He's in a
Better
lot of
Tomorrow.
films,
He's in a lot of films.
Do you know he's in a James Bond movie as the
No.
maid?
Yes, he
As
was
a-
in a
as
James
a
Bond movie
villain.
as well.
Oh, is it? No.
His
no
English
idea.
is very good.
I
Pierce
He speaks very good
Pierce Brosnan
English.
is one. Die Another Day.
Okay.
He was
As a
also-
North Korean general.
He was also in
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour, yes, but
Two.
wasn't big.
Yeah.
He was also in the Japanese. Jialat lah. It's a Hollywood film about Japanese geisha, members of the
Members
geisha,
of the
Members of
geisha.
geisha.
Okay.
acted by Chinese. What the
Yeah.
rubbish.
He probably was in the Replacement Killers or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow,
He was
he's
training
good.
to be an architect, which is crazy. He studied in the States, training to be an architect.
His English is very good.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Donnie Yen's English is also very good.
Yeah.
Do you know Donnie Yen used to be very good breakdancer?
No, I didn't know.
He's
that.
very good.
He's a very good breakdancer.
He's also a very good pianist.
Popper, Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy's super talented.
All right. Next question: film school or self-learn?
Film school and then drop out.
Who did that? Was it Paul Thomas Anderson?
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson did that. Yeah, he probably didn't need it also. Yeah.
I really don't know because I've never been to film school, so I wouldn't know what I'm missing.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a tough one to, but I would, if I have the choice, I would try it for film school,
Mm.
and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Enough. The last question.
This and this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses or Nirvana.
Wow.
Yeah. In line with the girl from Pinafore.
Wow.
Okay, that's the reason why you asked this
Yeah.
question.
This is
Okay.
a tough one.
I'm gonna ask you a music question in one way.
Wow, this one is
Yeah.
a tough one.
Yeah.
Damn. Can I choose neither? Wow.
Neither.
You'd be surprised. You know who's my biggest pop influence?
Who?
Music influence. Okay, in terms of rock, let's just purely talk about rock music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heart.
Heart
I
is
It's a
the
female band.
Joan is
No,
no.
the Wilson sisters.
Okay.
Ann Wilson and what's the other sister's name?
Right.
But the other one plays the guitar.
Yeah.
Heart. Barracuda.
No,
Mm.
I don't
Never
know.
heard?
I have no idea.
Barracuda. Never heard before.
No.
Is it-
Alone.
Is it an 80s?
All I want to do is make the 70s,
Oh, okay.
and then they pass all the way to the 90s.
Mm.
They are still singing today, but they are not big enough to come to Asia to tour, because I don't think people will know them. You know?
I see.
Yeah, but their songs have been used in many films. Not necessary for comedic effect, not like Journey. Journey is not bad.
Actually, I hate Journey. I generally hate a lot of 80s things, except for like Tears for Fears. And
Billy Joel is great.
yeah,
Billy
but
Joel?
he started from the 70s, you see, and he has a great 70s output.
Okay, Elton John is great. You know.
Again,
Yeah.
great 70s.
Okay, that's it.
Last one.
Oh, still got one more.
If you
Okay.
could make a sports movie in Singapore, what sport would it be?
I would choose either one. Can I?
Yeah.
I'll say two lah.
Yep.
To choose from, simply because I personally used to
Okay.
be involved in that
Okay.
quite a bit. It's either badminton or swimming.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
swimming.
Yeah.
Veterans lah.
Yeah.
I'm deep into. I love swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah, or scuba diving. You know,
Okay.
I'm a scuba diver as well. So yeah, I think scuba diving would be interesting. Rescue film.
Sell to China.
Yeah, you can do one. The one. There was an incident in Thailand. Remember? Few
Yeah,
years
but that
ago.
one got one series and 2 films made on it, man. Holy crap, that one
Yeah.
too many already lah. It's more.
Yeah, badminton film would be cool.
But you see, Malaysia did one.
Lim Chong Wei biopic. Yeah.
Malaysian did one. And how did that do?
I heard not bad.
Not bad,
I heard it did quite well. But yeah, sports. Singapore. Maybe soccer would be interesting. Yeah, because we probably in terms of what are we most successful at? Water polo.
Not really. In Southeast Asia only.
Is it?
Yeah.
But I don't. Oh shit! I almost forgot. I have a full script written of one particular sport, and I even have the title, but I felt it wasn't strong enough, and no one could give me enough budget to do it. It's called Tiger.
What is it?
Tang Hao Liang.
Oh, the first Olympic
Yes.
medalist in Singapore.
So actually, I've already written it.
Okay.
Not I wrote one. I worked with her.
Hey, this one government will support
But-
you leh.
Hey, please, this one you got $3 million. Nah.
Yeah.
I have to do a 60s.
Yeah. Hey, this one don't have to scared censorship. It's up in their alley. Yeah.
But you'd be surprised. I've like back then they eat vitamin. If you know what vitamin
Right.
is, you see, so you still have to sanitize it lah. You know. So, but it's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story.
This one
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Actually, sorry, I scrubbed the earlier one. Tan Hao Liang. Yeah, I will go back to that. I met him several times as well.
Right. So
In
for
the
people who don't
research.
know, like who is Tan Hao Liang?
Tan Hao Liang is Singapore's first Olympic medalist, silver in
Weightlifting.
weightlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Rome. And that wasn't his first attempt. He failed before. Wow,
Can right? Will you want to watch it?
interesting.
I mean, see the execution.
It's all about execution.
I want to watch
Yeah.
it. I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But like you say, it needs to be handsomely made lah. Yeah.
Yes.
You need very nice sports montages. You need the.
But there's a lot of funny like anecdotes from the story, do you know that you saw the video of him coming back and then
No,
all those were stage one, because all the reporters and journalists got the date wrong. When he came back to Singapore airport, bolang leh.
oh my god.
So funny,
that's a good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why Tiger is actually a nickname that the overseas people gave him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was called Tiger Tan.
Oh.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
Hey, that's a good title.
Yeah.
Tiger stripes. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I
Come
almost
on, man.
forgot. Tan Hao Liang.
Tan Hao Liang biopic. Make it happen for Yee Wei.
Yeah.
If not, we will crowdfund. Singaporeans, let's make this community film together.
Well, the government has to clear my Hokkien permission first then.
Oh yeah, it has to be
This film has to be in
Yes,
Hokkien.
because of the authenticity.
Mm.
Yeah.
Pre-independent Singapore, right?
Yes, 1961 or 62.
62, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. He remembers. You remember?
Wow.
You went to do research before, is it?
No, it was just during primary school. Suddenly there was a resurgence in Tan Hao Liang, and then
It was quite sad, no?
Yeah,
You know, and subsequently he also he became cleaner. At one point, he was working for Cathay. To bring traffic.
Oh wow.
And I think this aftermath things, right? Sorry to drag on, but it should be in the film also to really show
Yeah.
what happened to Singapore
Yeah.
sports people back in the day. Medalists and then become cleaner. Yeah. It's like the last emperor kind of ending, where he's become like this normal citizen going back to the throne there.
I think my feel from talking to him was, I don't think he was seeking to be a hero of any sort. No, he did it for himself.
Mm.
It was, why did he want to do all these things? Because he just wanted to do the best that he can lah. It wasn't like, I have a goal, I want to, but he do something, he would just want to do it well. That's it. And well, he did it well, and he won.
He can. This one
So interesting lah.
don't say what the box office or what, right? But it's quite a worthwhile story to tell.
Yeah.
You should go back to that.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And with that, we have come to the end of this
Wow,
episode.
12:30.
Yeah, 12:30
AM.
a.m. Thank you, Yee Wei, for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable and fun.
Yeah,
And yeah,
Power pack talk.
thank you.
yeah. Before we end off, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Please keep on subscribe to Chapalang. There's a ting button.
And of course, remember to watch Wonderland.
Wonderland when
When
it
it
comes
comes
out.
out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second half of
Second half of the year.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Lee and Peter Yu will give everyone a nice surprise in terms of their performance. Yeah, especially Uncle Mark, I think.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.